Hey everybody, this is Coach Sal here. Welcome to my new show, The Thinking Body Revival. What I'm trying to do here is bring back some of the old gold that has been lost through the efforts of the current day fitness social media crowd and media for the last 30 plus years, 50 years really. All the gold that was mined that actually were the forerunners of what we see today. They knew more, I think, in a practical sense and making things effective than we have today. And the bookcase here right behind me, you got the book right there, The Thinking Body by Mabel Ellsworth Todd, the kind of jumping off point for me. Read that book 20 years ago, have read it many times, taken notes on it, used things in it to this day that blow away most of what you're going to find. This show is going to highlight a lot of the old stuff here. Some of it is as old as the late 1800s, but I'm not throwing away everything that's new. There are some new things that are good that when woven in with this old stuff is great, and it's gold, really, literally gold. Will save you time, save you effort. I've been doing this professionally for over 35 years, so that gives you an idea for how old I am. And I've found that I've improved, my clients have improved without killing yourself from a time and effort standpoint. Of course, you have to put the work in, but these 2-hour workouts, these hour and 45-minute workouts that I hear about and see when I go to gyms, you don't have to do things that way. My experience is not just as a personal trainer. I call myself a coach now because everybody needs coaching. I'm not quite sure how that term personal trainer equates to what we do in the field, especially those of us who are effective. I'm a coach. No matter who comes to me, they are an athlete that I'm trying to get the most out of, whether it's for everyday life or, in the case of the high-level athletes I work with, for their livelihood, for their either college or professional sport activity. I have trained over 45,000 individual personal training sessions in my career, spent thousands of additional hours on fields with high school, club, and youth athletes, college athletes from Division I to Division III, athletes and college teams. And currently I work with the PLL, Professional Lacrosse League World Champions 2 years in a row, Utah Archers, as well as their star player, Tom Schreiber. Guys on that team, other guys I work with individually on that team, take advantage of the stuff that I've learned and haven't let kind of fade into the sunset. This is going to be fun. It's going to combine a lot of these old world and old school techniques with the new. I'm going to tell you the hows and whys. I'm just not going to ask you to follow me blindly. As we focus in now on our hourglass, we got to get going. Hey everybody. So I want to get a little deeper into the thought behind what I'm doing here. One of the most important things to take out of this is we've heard a lot recently about processed food. We have processed workouts now. We have junk ingredients in our food. We have junk exercises that litter or that are included in these exercise programs that I see, whether it's sport, whether it's general fitness, regular folk that just want to improve themselves, or high-level athletes. I have some notes here I've made on this book here, The Thinking Body, because it really, like I said, is kind of sets me on my path. We're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go. The point of this program, of this channel, is to not only bring people to the point of understanding the stuff that's represented on this bookshelf and much more that I don't even have here. There's so much good old stuff out there we need to get back to, just like with eating, same with exercise. There's a saying about some coaches, that guy's forgotten more than most coaches will ever know. I feel that about how the fitness industry has been. More has been forgotten, more good stuff has been forgotten, whether it's talking about sport training or just our general fitness training. Not only do I want to bring this to your attention, I want to teach people to be critical in what they come across in their day-to-day, whether it's nutrition, health, fitness, sleep, breathing, all these pillars of good health that we need to be able to understand to do what's best for us. There's going to be a political component to this, and I don't mean Republican or Democrat, but how politics affects what we do, especially with how we take care of ourselves with nutritional elements and with how we take care of ourselves in the bigger, broader picture of medical care. Not getting too far off the subject at this point, but I think this is the worst time to be sick, but it's also the best time to try to get yourself on the right path. In addition to this concept of bringing this old material to you, is I want what I call an army of emerging experts. I want everybody to be their own expert. In one of the podcasts that I do for the Real Voices of the Game podcast network, called The Hot Corner with Coach Sal, is we talk about this. We bring in the concepts of listen to me only as a jumping off point. People have pointed me in the right direction. That's why I have this bookshelf full of gold and material. There's a quote from the introduction to The Thinking Body that it's amazing to me. It could have been written this morning. It could have been part of someone's post on X. Could have been something you saw on Instagram. Unfortunately, most of the stuff in those venues are not as insightful, as pointed, as poignant as this is. But here it goes. Relaxation is the crying need of our age. But what it is and how to attain it are still unanswered questions. And that's as true 10 seconds ago as it is 10 decades ago. This book, The Thinking Body, was originally a course at New York University that the author put in a book form after people requested it. We're talking about stuff 100 years ago that is better than most of the stuff, 99% of the stuff you're going to pick up and find on your social media channels. One of the important things, and it's a theme that I will come back to, it's a theme of what I do here in this is my facility where I train people, or when I do things remotely. You're upright. We're upright creatures. Abel, Ms. Todd, recognized that 100 years ago. Resisting gravity in the upright position is really the most important thing people in my position need to do when they have people come to them for help. Anyone watching this that goes and works out on their own, you kind of have to do that. You have to realize that you need to be in this upright position. So what we're going to do is I'm going to combine a lot of the concepts and workouts of yesteryear. How about that for a throwback word? The reason people weren't injured and were healthier, were more robust, were more resilient, were not fragile. That's another concept we're going to talk about, is how we become fragile. People have become fragile as a result of the modern diet, as a result of the modern life, and our exercise programs were not robust, resilient. We are now fragile. How we can overcome that. Long term, I want this to be a place for people to come for regular information, day-to-day information, nutrition, sleep, exercise. But without nutrition and sleep, the exercise is less than important. But we're going to talk about all these subjects. How you can take what I do with my clients here in person. We can do that either remotely, or if you're in my area, you can come to me. We can make you better, healthier, more robust, more resilient. So we're going to move on. Thanks. So here we are. This is some of the actual real world stuff, old school stuff. Couldn't think of a better example of a technique, exercise, a lost art, so to speak, than the Indian clubs. Indian clubs are from the 1800s. You can't see them now, and I'll feature this later on as we get through the show, but my gym, I feature old pictures of old facilities. What was going on back in these old facilities were really more about function and health and fitness than what we see today. But you'll see Indian clubs up on the wall in a lot of these old pictures, whether it was a YMCA, whether it was a gymnastics club or whatever they would have back in the day. That's what you saw, the Indian club. This is a modern day version. Here are different versions. We'll show you a little bit more about them as we go. These are my old friends, the Sledgehammer. This is a new kind of twist on an old philosophy. It's a mace. A lot of swinging. We'll explain a little bit about that. Also, moving forward, my remote training, my more in-depth work will be on my training videos and our remote training sessions where we can actually work these things into our workout. They become the workout themselves. So much simplicity. Space you see in front of you, this is all I have. I have some dumbbells. I have old school implements. I have a rack. That kind of you need to have for certain things, but it's by no means the center. Things are not the centerpiece here. The knowledge of how to use the body, going back to the thinking body, how the body needs to work, using it in its most efficient and effective way. Posture, upright, on your feet. Those are some basic, very basic movements. The idea of the Indian Club is to improve range of motion in all your upper body joints, wrists and elbows, right? This is a very basic Indian Club move, right? After 50 plus years of sport and bad lifting, before I got to the good lifting, I've had a lot of luck, a lot of success personally with the Indian Clubs. This is range of motion in your elbows and your wrists, two regions that very few people, trainer or gym goer alike, think about including in their session. When's the last time you heard someone bring up the concept of range of motion with regard to your elbow? Certainly with your wrists. The only time you hear people talk about wrists are when they can't do something. I have had endless amount of athletes young athletes who cannot stay in a push-up position, who have a hard time doing a squat thrust or what some people call a burpee because of putting their hands down on the floor is painful. We could get into that, but suffice to say, it's texting, spending all the time on your phone, tablet, typing, whatnot. Loss of range of motion. And I'm talking about tennis players, golfers have a hard time with that. We're getting to all those areas of range of motion that people neglect, especially the shoulder. It's a swing, and the basic posture is feet together, upright, and there are several patterns that we use, again, designed to improve range of motion in your upper body and your strength. Also important for, I don't use the term core strength, I use the term vertical stability. We're stable in a vertical position, which is what we all need to do. We don't need to be lying on the ground doing planks and crunches. Gravity affects us differently. The reason planks are hard are because we don't function in that position. We don't need to be in that position. We aren't built to be in that position. Without getting too deep into it, we're at the top of the food chain because we are upright, because we're on 2 feet. So we have all these exercises designed to improve range of motion in areas that are often neglected and usually that people do not have good range of motion, shoulders especially. The bench press has done more to set athletes back than it's done to improve their performance. In my evaluation process, someone who does too much bench press, obviously posture is one thing, but when they try to do these exercises, they're rigid, stiff, they can't get their arms up and back. I've had shoulder issues my whole life from lifting, baseball, college football, and I still have some discomfort. There's things I can't do great, but I don't have as much pain, and I still have very good range of motion because of the Indian Clubs. It also gets into, and this is very important for younger people, especially kids, there's coordination involved where you're now doing things independent, side to side, that require coordination, that are difficult. So the Indian Clubs are just one of the many tools. Now, these are 1.25 pounds, and it's enough to get your heart rate up and to feel that local muscular fatigue. We have, this is the same thing. This is just a different version of the 1.25 pound one. This is a modernized 5-pounder. You would never believe what 5 pounds can do to you. You've got to get away from that concept of weight equaling better workout. You don't need to use a lot of weight to develop muscle and maintain muscle. This is legit old school. Found these in an antique shop in Vermont 30 years ago. 5 pounds, they feel like 105 pounds. And those same swing patterns become exponentially tougher with the addition of the change in dimensions and the change in the weight. 5 pounds, it's a big difference even between this 5-pounder and the modern steel 5-pounder. My best friends, the Sledgehammers, 6, 10, and 20. We're going to get outside, and I'm going to show you how these babies will do more for your conditioning than any gym exercise. When used in conjunction with traditional movements, phenomenal workout. Heart rate goes up. Local muscular endurance. Muscle building. Guys who want to get bigger arms, forget the curls, forget the tricep push downs. Get yourself a 6-pound sledgehammer and a wooden stump, and you go after it for about 10 minutes. That's all you're going to need. From your fingertips to your middle hamstring, you're going to feel it. When we get outside and use those, you will see the difference that they can make in your overall fitness and your physique. And they're purposeful. They have a purpose that's going to make you better. All right? So as you can see, we're getting towards the end of things here. So we're going to end this part and we're going to finish up. Thanks. So here's my mission. I think we've lost it. We've lost our way. As I mentioned, people are fragile, less fit, sicker. Many cases, people don't realize it. As I said, food's processed, workouts are processed. We have junk food, we have junk exercise. We also have all this wealth of information. A book from 100 years ago is going to give you more valid information than what you could find on a week's worth of social media. And I'm not asking you all to go out there and read every book or read that book. Come to me and we'll start to point you in the right direction. I'd love it if everyone read that book. It would make my job easier. Even though that book, I believe, is very difficult to get, I've seen it from anywhere from $20 to $120, depending when. Luckily, when I bought it, it was easier to get to. For those of you who are interested in learning and want to be part of this revival and these emerging experts, that you take what you learn here and you could spread it amongst your family and friends, and before you know it, we're making a difference. That is why I'm doing this. I can only reach so many people in here in my space personally. I want to be able to reach to all you people out there, or anyone who wants help, especially people who have been doing it and feel like, geez, what am I been wasting my time on? I don't feel any better. I don't get any more energy. Still can't sleep. I have no muscle. I go to the gyms and I see endless amount of people on treadmill and no one looks that great, to be honest with you. And not that you can tell a book by its cover, but you can certainly tell when people are struggling. Use what I can teach you, whether it's for what I use with my professional athletes, whether it's Tom or whether it's my Division I lacrosse players or my high-level high school players or my regular middle school players, people in my age bracket that are just trying to make the most and be as healthy as they can for the rest of their life. I want to build this crew that's going to be able to take care of themselves, and it's going to be a sustainable method and a sustainable way for you to fit this in with your day. In a half hour a day, 45 minutes a day, a couple of times a week, you're going to go from here to here. There's a great Tom Cruise, Cameron Diaz movie, Night and Day. With me, without me. With me, without me.
It's here. Without me, here. With me, without me. With me, without me.
35 years of doing this, being 62 with a hip replacement done a year ago, and I'm back to doing all the things I could do before. Things that still some of my athletes struggle to do. I think it could benefit everybody out there that's interested. What I'm going to do is be able to train you anywhere, because I'm going to have this function through Zoom or however we manage to connect. And I'll tell you more about it next time. Where I started in Manhattan doing this at a place, was the first place to do personal training. And one of their core business practices, which benefits both the client and the business owner, you have to make a commitment. I'm making the commitment to develop your program. You can't come once a week and whenever you want and just be open-ended and do one and 2 weeks later do another, because you're never going to see that improvement. So people that work with me are on a contract. They buy a block of sessions. They come to me on a regular basis. The same thing will hold true for our Zoom remote training program. The details of that will come out. You could always DM me on X. I'm at Sal Marinello, SalMarinello, all together. You could DM me anytime you want, especially with regard to the details about my training. Some of the great nuggets out of these books available on Patreon, and there'll be a monthly fee that you can have what I'm going to offer, what I think is good for that week. Take requests. You'll take requests. You'll contact me. Do you have anything about XYZ? There are these old school body weight based workouts in here that are phenomenal, that you can't do a lot of them. To the point, we've lost so much function. There are so many things that people used to be able to do in the day to day. A deep squat, get up off the floor without holding on to something, your hands. Little things like that, we've lost. Push up off the ground with your hands. Little things like that, we've lost that ability across society. I have a high school lacrosse team that if I take the 40 kids, at least 20% of those kids can't get off the ground without holding on or pushing off with the ground or doing some other outside intervention to help them get up. And at a time. I'll have more details about the program as we go forward, but I'm looking forward to engaging with you guys as much as possible, getting you on Zoom, this remote training, and building this army, building this revival. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next show.